guys and gals, animal friends, and spirit pals. Welcome back. Spirit Whisper, Jano. How you guys doing? Now this video is going to be an animal tale video. Yay! I've been behind on those, and I have so many tales to tell you guys that I wanted to try to get another one in here before, at least one more before the end of the year. And so today's animal tale is going to be about Cindy Lou Who, the spider monkey. Now before we get to Cindy Lou Who's little story and some cute little pictures I have of her, I want to tell some of my new subscribers who I've got quite a new influx. Thank you all, appreciate it very much. But you probably don't know much about me, and you're going, what's an animal tale? And now what's he doing? And why is he doing this? And so let me give you a little quick reason. So when I was in my mid-80s, I'm not in my mid-80s, but when it was the mid-80s, I began to seek out a spiritual connection with the universe and prayed to God and asked for it to show me how and guide me and teach me, and if that was something I was supposed to do, please show me. And a big part of my prayer was, I'm a happy enough person, but I would feel bad if I died and felt like I didn't really do anything to help the earth or the planet or animals. That meant a lot to me, and I love the animals and I love the earth, and I just wondered if I could be of service, and if I could you show me? I didn't know how. And I also, at that time, thought, because I had, the idea of channeling had fallen into my lap, and I had read a few books about that, and I already knew I was clairaudient because I was having those experiences with Jesus where the energy, he said he was Jesus, and he would talk to me in my head, and like he had me read the Bible with him, the New Testament, and he talked me through the whole thing, stuff like that, but it was all clairaudient. So I knew there was something weird going on, and I'd been that way since I was really little, when like a guardian angel or God, I don't know, but used to talk to me when I was real little, when I was afraid and it was in dire circumstances, and it would help me through. So I already knew something like that, and then I feeling about channeling. And whenever I read anything about that, if there was an entity that was channeling, it would come and talk to me. Weird, I know. So I was asking God, is that something? What is that? Am I supposed to be doing that? Is that why I hear that stuff? Anyway, again, could you show me? So it pretty much immediately began to drop things in my path to realize that for myself. I learned to be a channel, like I immediately met, just all the right things fell into place. And before I knew it, I was channeling Djwhal Khul, the ascended Tibetan master, who has lots of channels. And, I'd already had conversations with Jesus through the years, or certainly what told me it was Jesus. And then I began to channel Djwhal Khul for classes and readings and events, things like that. And at the same time, in my meditations and stuff, I would regularly meditate and get information from Djwhal. And then there's another energy that kept coming in, and it tended to want to talk about nature and the nature kingdoms and things. And just during my meditations, it would come in, and it would be a big, long, talk and stuff. And then I was like, well, Djwhal Khul, who's that? And he said, well, ultimately I was going to be working with that energy, and he wanted to work with me because of my connection to nature. And one thing led to another. Finally I realized it was Pan, and then I began to be a channel for Pan as well as the others. And I worked with him quite a lot because Djwhal wasn't kidding. He had plans. He had Pan plans for me. And so I began to channel him and TK, for classes, workshops, stuff like that, readings. And was doing that for a while. And during that time, Pan would do what I called, it was like metaphysical college classes in my brain, like during meditation. But it would be, a big lesson, like about minerals or plants or animals or the weather or the moon or water, all kinds of nature-y kind of things. And he would go into detail. And then during that lesson in my real life, those kinds of things would kind of come in for me to work with physically. Like all of a sudden somebody would give me a crystal, or my partner had dug a place for us to plant a garden and I was doing, or another animal would show up or something like that. Or I would be raising a baby squirrel that was sitting on the porch. Stuff like that kept coming to go along with the brain classes. And then he said, Mark, remember your prayer about wanting to be of service at the animal kingdom? I said, yes. He goes, well, the animals are really keen on that. They would like for you to work with them. And they would like you to be an animal keeper, like a zookeeper. Because a lot of animals, a lot of different kinds of animals would like to work with your energy. And so that's why the zoo, because they're different species. And I thought, oh, that'd just be thrilling. I can't imagine. I was about 33, and I thought, well, that sounds great, Pan, but like my degree's in drama, oral communication, education, I don't think those are qualifications to be a zookeeper because I don't have any kind of thing like that. Even in college, I kind of wanted to study about animals, but they didn't have anything where I went. I mean, I took like a couple nature classes they had, but that's about it. So I just thought, that sounds so great. Oh, great, Pan, talking to me in my brain. But I don't know how that could possibly actually work. I mean, I don't think maybe it's not even possible. And, I whined a little bit, and then he said, well, I'm telling you it is. And if you'd be willing for that to be a part of your experience, then, that's what we'll do. I said, okay, well, I'm willing. Okay. And then things began to fall into place, one after another, coincidentally kind of things, of steps for me to take. And so from the time he told me that, it was not quite a year, I was a zookeeper at the Los Angeles Zoo. It was really a miraculous occurrence. I'm convinced the only reason it happened is because honestly and truly the animals wanted me there. Period. That's what he always told me, and I believe that's why I ended up being it. Now, that doesn't mean, and it was totally spiritually guided, and the animals had a lot to do with it and all that. I know it with all my heart and soul. At the same time, I had to work at it. It wasn't just, there's a little gift for you, Mark. It was that, but I had to go through steps and, go to class and volunteer and work. So who knew at the time when Pan told me that we would go through it, but that the zoo, on every rare occasion, the LA Zoo would do this thing where people off the street could come in and take a class there. It was like 8 weeks long, and about animal husbandry and all that. And then if you did really good and you scored in the high percentage, you might be asked to volunteer there. And that was the extent of it. It was never like, and you will be a zookeeper. No, but you could be a volunteer. And so I thought, oh, well, that's probably what, if I can do that, that'd be great. Just any time that I'm allowed to work with the animals, be great. And so I went through the class and all that. I think there was like about 170 people in my class because they didn't do it very often. And it just so happened, some friend of mine just happened to tell me about it in time for me to sign up. Just so happened. And so, I took it. I went to all the classes. There was field work, and you had scored really high. There was a lot of tests. I'm pretty good about tests. Um, so I scored number one in the class, and yay me. And that meant they said I could volunteer. And so I did. And I got that I needed to just consistently volunteer. And wherever they told me to do, I never, just, no, wherever, I don't care. And plus, I always thought anything would be a joyous experience. No matter where I go or what I do, it'd be great. And it was. Um, and so I did that. And then they hired me eventually. There's a lot of steps and stuff. I'll talk about that in some other videos. Like some of the videos in the playlist about who am I and why am I here. Um, Now, out of my 170 in the class, nobody else became an animal keeper. Only me. That was weird. And plus, I kind of finagled my way in there sooner, because while I was volunteering at the zoo, I would just go twice a week, and I'd go wherever in the zoo. And then 2 other days a week, I just volunteered in the animal show, because I have a degree in drama, and the whole acting with animals, all that was right up my alley. Education, I was a school teacher. That all seemed like, and I was studied oral communication, public speaking. That was right up my alley, right? And they didn't have any guys in their show. And, all my friends are always girls. And so I fit right in there too. So I would always go there 2 days a week. And so I was going to the zoo a lot. And then I waited tables at night. And then I still went on interviews and auditions. So the animal show people finagled some way where they got me a part-time job, and they paid me with a wishing well money that people tossed in a wishing well. So the first year or so I worked there, I got paid that way, which was really unheard of. But again, the animals were working so hard, so I got my job before you even should have gotten a job, much less paid. And then I got a part-time job, and then I moved on. I worked at elephants first and moved on to the zoo and got a full-time job now. But I just say that because the whole thing was spiritually guided. If I hadn't met Pan, I never would have done it. And so I went to that job with him in my brain, in my pocket. He'd already taught me about talking to animals and all that, and I already knew about that, and I'd already done, I'd been doing that already. Not at a zoo, but I was anxious to, work with the different animals at the zoo, and it just gave me so many opportunities. I mean, literally hundreds. And so, I didn't go around with a sign on my neck saying I talked to the animals, although keepers that I became really close to knew that about me. And so, they would say, Mark, could you come see what's wrong with my whatever? And so I would do it kind of on the down low, But always felt Pan was with me. Now, the other thing about that is, throughout my whole time at the zoo, 30 years, the animals always, all of them, and I took care of so many, I can't even list them, always just immediately took to me and trusted me and liked me, and it didn't take long for them to just act like I was one of them. And it was, it was unusually so. It's not that unusual that a longtime keeper would may have had that kind of relationship with animals they took care of a long time, but I would just walk in, and the animals would just take to me, and I would just take to them, and then whatever they would do for their regular keeper, they would just do for me. It always had that kind of luck all the way through. And so then a lot of times the regular keepers would really like me because their animals liked me too, and like right away. And they wouldn't, because if the animals don't like you, they won't cooperate, they won't do the things they're supposed to do. If the person's not there, they can just be really obstinate the whole way. But I never really had that, which was great. And that was always, I thought, because Pan was there with me. It always felt like the animals just recognized, I used to say this, that I had a Pan mark stamped on my forehead, and that I worked, somehow, I was in relation to that energy that they were aware of. Because Pam will tell you the animals know him. And so I thought that was probably some of it. You know, I'm a nice guy and lovable, but this was kind of beyond the norm. And even though a lot of times the zoo, which was kind of bullying to me and homophobic and all that crap, I was the first gay guy, openly gay guy that was an animal keeper there. They would sometimes try to move me to like punish or bully me, but the universe would always have my back, and then I would end up being, right where the animals wanted me to be. So they would think they would punish me, and all of a sudden I'd end up being where I would be surrogate daddy to somebody. So this is the story about when I became the surrogate daddy for Cindy Lou Who, the spider monkey. Now during this time, I was a keeper for educational animals and sea lions. I always, throughout my career there, as luck would have it, I did lots of hands-on. As time passed there, they got rid of that more and more to where I was like the only person who ever did hands-on with elephants or monkeys or whatever, because they kept cutting it out all the time. They stopped the shows. They didn't want to do anything. They were very frustrating as far as that went. But I still got that experience anyway, because wherever they moved me, it was necessary to be more hands-on. So educational animals, I had to raise them. If I worked in the children's zoo or helped there, because my friend worked there and I would help, like, for example, we had 15 baby goats. I was their daddy and, bottle fed them and all that, just to help her because she couldn't manage it all, and stuff like that. So I was just always, the universe kind of stuck me where I happened to be animal daddy. So my kitchen and office, which was just a cabinet in the kitchen, was in the animal nursery. Now, of course, I love baby animals, but I wasn't ever really a nursery keeper, and they never had a man work there. But as it happened, I became really close to the nursery keepers. We worked side by side because where I made my food and everything for my animals was right there. And because I'm helpful, I ended up quite often being the daddy for some of the babies. And that's how I became Cindy Lou's surrogate daddy, because I was working there and it was a lot to do. And my friend Catherine, who was with the primates, she, like me, knew they needed as much interaction as possible. So she was always happy for me to help her with the interaction. And plus, Cindy loved me right off the bat. So here's her little picture I want to show you, little spider monkey. This is when she was little Betty, and she was in her little playpen. That would be where the public could see her, and she'd be playing in the nursery room in her little playpen area. So I just want to see how cute she is. This precious and cute. Spider monkey. Now, we also had 2 adult spider monkeys. They weren't her parents. This little spider monkey came to the zoo because her mother, if I'm remembering it correctly, couldn't produce milk for her and couldn't care for her. So she had to be hand raised. And they hoped they'd be able to introduce her to the 2 adults they had. And I'd also taken care of them, so the adult monkeys knew me too. So I was coming in from both ends. So pretty quickly, Cindy Lou Who trusted me, and I was like her little helpmate. So here's some very cute pictures. This is when she's still a little pip, and she was eating baby foods, so like smashed and delicious foods. But she wanted to be attached to me all the time. So you can kind of see in this picture, see that black streak going up behind her? That's her tail, and she's got it around my neck, and she's sitting on my arm and waiting for, where's my next bites, Daddy? I would like a delicious snuggly mug bite. At that point, she liked it too if she had her little stuffed teddy bear with her. So oftentimes you had to hold the teddy bear and her. This is when she was little baby. then, as she grew up, she became super attached to me. And I'm going to show you another picture. So, she was so cute, and I loved her so much. So, she had female, the girls all were the nursery keepers. I was just a sneaker in that the animals adopted, and then they saw how much they loved me, so they let me take care of her. But one time in particular, my friend Catherine, like Cindy Lou, she would want to hold on to you. Now, she would hold on to my hair when I had short hair, but she'd hold on to that and wrap around my neck. But she never pulled it. She would hold on, but she never ever pulled. But Catherine had long hair, and so she would pull it. Now, at first I think it was probably accidental, but then when Catherine reacted, then it was like fun. So she'd pull it just to make Catherine react. And so Catherine didn't like it. And I remember she came up, Catherine was feeding her. I was in the nursery at the time, and she pulled Catherine, said, "No, Cindy, don't do that." And then Cindy leapt across the room like this on me, with her tail and arms around my neck, squeezing tight with her little face pressed up against, like, "My daddy will protect me. If you don't love me, I'll just go to him." It was the cutest thing ever. And Catherine was like going, "Oh my God, why do you spoil that little child?" So then we loved to have meal times together. So as she got older, they wanted to try to reintroduce her to those other monkeys. And so I would be taking care of the other monkeys. They'd bring her up on my break or lunch. I would go in with her and sit down, and I'd feed her and stuff. Plus, by this time, she was much more attached to people than she was to monkeys. Like, she didn't much care about them. You can't see it there, but there was a door. She could look at them where they couldn't grab her or nothing, but she could still see them stuff, but she pretty much didn't care so much about them. Now, so I'd put her food out in a bowl, and she'd go, "Yeah, but could you just hand feed it to me, Daddy? I like it a lot better if you just give me one little items at a time." Now, that one, she's hanging by a branch, by her tail, but then she swings over to hold on to me. Can you guys see these pictures well enough? How cute. Her little tasties from it. Now, I'm going to show you this little cute series of pictures. So, I'd always prepare her food and everything, and she'd have apples and fruits and things like that. Now, I was thinking about maybe having a little bite of apple my own self. And of course, there she is up on my head. See, she's got a hold of my hair. And she goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then she's like, isn't that my food? I'm thinking about it. Why is it so close to your mouth? And like her face is getting down closer. And then she has to climb down a little bit closer yet, going, "Hey, whose food is that?" And looking at me. I might have even been just teasing her, and I really wasn't going to eat it, but I was going to act like it. And so then, "Okay, here you go, brat face. You get to have it." And then she eats it, takes it up on my head, and finishes it. She don't much care if her fingers are in my eyes or, just whatever. She treats me just like I'm a monkey, which I love. And this is her showing she has a fat Buddha belly. And also, she'd like for me to make a little swing out of my arm, and she'd lay in it like that and pooch her belly out. And spider monkeys, they have the cutest greeting sound. I wish I could do it, but it's real high pitched, and it's kind of like laughing a little bit. It's real sweet. It feels like a happy greeting as soon as you hear it. And so, whenever she see me, there'd be that little sound would go off. And it was really cute when a baby did it. But also the two adults, I'd have to walk there was always like a mile walk from the car to wherever you had to get to your animals. And they could see me coming, or they would know I was coming, and they would start calling to me ahead of time. And I just loved that little high-pitched, giggly sound of, oh, hi. It was very, very cute. And she would do it too. Now, this is a goofy picture, but this is just her saying, I love my daddy because he gives me delicious grapums. That's what's in her mouth, is delicious fat grape. She goes, yummy, yum. We're having us a good grapes. So you can see that whenever I was around her, she had to be on me. And like I said, the hair was a good thing to hang on to. The hair and the neck. She liked to sit on my neck like that, but also the tail would oftentimes be around my neck, or she'd wrap it around my arm, whatever. She'd use me like a tree and do that. But quite often, she'd be sitting on my back, one hand on my hair, and see, there's her tail down there around my neck. This time I'd let the zoo photographer come in with us, and that's why I have so many of these pictures, because he sat away from us, and of course she wouldn't go over there to him. She stuck to me like glue the whole time. Now this, I was probably, sometimes I'd take a book in because I'd spent a lot of time with her, so because she didn't like to be alone in there. And I might have had a book, or I could have been fixing her food. But, I'm busily working and concentrating, and she's busily working and concentrating on whatever it is I'm concentrating on. Look how cute. She's very interested. Like, what's Mark doing? It seems very interesting. I better check it. And then I realize that she's ever so interested. I'm like, what is it, little missus? And so then she slides down a little farther to get closer to the, look how cute my hair looks. That's called monkey do. It looked nice. And then by the time she's done with it, it's quite the spiky thing. So she's coming down closer because she thinks she's involved in everything I do. And then I remember I was telling her how cute she was. And so now we're having a very close monkey to daddy talk. Look at her little face. How she's just looking so intently into my eyes and listening so closely at what I'm telling her. And basically I was telling her she was freaking cute and I couldn't stand it. And I also tell her that if you're going to be my little monkey, you're going to get lots of kisses, and that's it. And then I'd start this with her, which we did a lot, which is, I'm going to get you, and I'm going to kiss you up, and you're my little baby. Look at her. She's going, help, help. Daddy has me, and he's got me all strangled. Oh, let me put it up right. Help, he's giving me belly blows. I'd go, and I'd get her bellies and grab her feet and kiss them. My other keepers, they would be scared to death to kiss the animals because of disease and stuff. My mouth was always all over them, all of them. And I'm here to say, I never caught nothing from nobody. So I'd have her toes, biting them up and getting their bellies, and look at her. She'd go, help, help. And she'd be squealing until I'd go, you're not going to get away. I have you. And she'd be fighting, pushing my face, trying to resist. To no avail. Because if she was my baby, she was going to be hugged up and squeezed and kissed. And eventually she'd go, okay, I give in. Go ahead and kiss me up and give me some nice huggly snugs. And then there's just a couple more. Because we do this quite a bit. And me hugging her. And she liked to be hugged, actually. I'm teasing. She, with that part of me getting her bellies and stuff, that was playing, like that the monkeys would play with her. And she would just laugh. Because they had that little laughy noise. And she would laugh out loud. It was the cutest thing ever. But, she's like, oh no, I'm captured. But then I let loose, so she wouldn't have to have no more huggins. And then 1 minute later, she'd like, I'm free. And then she'd be right back. Like, are you going to grab me again? Right back to square one. Back on the head top. So she didn't have huggins and kisses, even though she doth protest too much. when I was giving them to her. So we had quite the relationship, and whenever I was trying to work, a lot of those with me sitting down, but this is me up and working, she would hang like that. Look at her here. She's got her foot in my belt loop and her tail around my neck, and then her hands on my arm, and we're both observing things outside. We're observing together. She'd like to do the same things. She goes, "What you looking at? Let me go see." Look at her. She's so freaking cute. I go, "Look over there, Cindy Lynn." She go, "What?" Okay, I'm looking. What is that? I was trying to get her to look at the other monkeys. She would, but she'd want to be all snuggled up in my arms. Then she'd look at them. She goes, "I'm not really going over there." No. And here's two more. I know I showed you a lot of pictures, but she's so cute. And obviously, I loved her bush on the back. She's fascinated. She always wanted me to open my mouth so she could look in it and stuff, and she would love to like touch my teeth or something. So I thought that was fascinating. And of course, I'd kiss her all up with it and everything. And she'd be like it'd just be so cute, like I was tickling her. So she didn't really like the adult monkeys. That wasn't going to work out. Now, my idea, because I'd done shows and educational animals, and I was a buddy with Betty White, and I'd always brought baby animals for her to look at and handleable animals, and that was her greatest joy. And I knew how powerful that was and how much an animal can change people just by being there with them, so they can get a little bit up close and personal. And when they see an animal reacting positively with the human, it alleviates some of that fear and stuff like that. And what I would always teach, well, this is a baby that I raised. She's partial to me, so you can't do the same things I'm doing. But, sometimes she could do something you could do, like you could give me your finger and she'd hold it or something like that. Right? And so I really pushed, why don't we just keep her, and we can use her for like money-making events and stuff. I can take her to parties, and she can, we can auction off like a one-on-one lunch with the monkey and Mark or something like that. And, I can do educational programs. Be so great. And she's a prime candidate because she's already been hand-raised. She loves me. I can do anything with her. It's easy to put a little waistband on her, so she stays with me. But no, they wouldn't do it. So instead, they gave her to the Animal Teaching College so that they could do that with her. Because the zoo was great about cutting its nose off, despite its face, whatever you call that. And so she went there. But again, that's going to be harder because she was really attached to me. Also to her female keeper. But her female keeper was nurturing, that's what she did. She wasn't like, showbiz, let's take the animals and teach people. She didn't have all that like I did. And, like a big mouth wanting to talk and teach and educate. So it was more what I wanted. But so they wanted to send her to the teaching college. So, of course, I had to be the one to take her because she trusted me. And I had this happen several times when I was the one the animals trusted, where I had to box them up or something so they'd go somewhere, and it would just be heartbreaking because they loved me and they trusted me. I always felt like I was betraying them somehow, but what usually trumped that was that process would be a lot more peaceful and comfortable and easy for them. They wouldn't have all that fear stuff about some stranger putting them in something. So that's usually why I ended up doing it. And that's why I ended up taking Cindy. So I took her out to the teaching college. It was in Moore Park in Los Angeles. And then they began to work with her. And a lot of times, part of Moore Park College, part of their program, they had to come to the LA Zoo and work a certain amount of hours with different keepers. That was part of, and then we evaluated them and graded them and all that stuff. So I would know a lot of them over the years. And then I'd always ask about Cindy, how's she doing? And they didn't have as much success with her. For one thing, she adopted one guy, a blonde guy, and that became her person. And then beyond him, she didn't really want anybody else. He was great, and she loved him, and she pretty much just transferred my my energy, our relationship to him. But she didn't really want all the others. And so she was loving and sweet to him, but she'd be kind of bratty to the others, a little bit like she could be with me. I'm a daddy's girl kind of a thing, which in a way I kind of liked, even though I wanted her to be happy there. But she lived there for quite a long while, and they did use her in their programs and things. She, though, did eventually get cancer and passed away, which is very sad. They told me about that. But the amount of joy and the amount of heart opening I received from that little baby girl is really, you can't really quantify it. I mean, it's just worth more than anything. And my dream of being a zookeeper is this. This is what. This is the reason I wanted to be one. So that, now I got goosebumps running up down my spine. So that animals trusted and loved me so much, had no fear of me, and me of them, that we could have this kind of relationship. Now I know this is a baby, and that makes it easier. But I had similar relationships with many animals that were full grown, and I didn't raise them at all. Right? So that was what I wanted, and that's what I received over and over and over again. I'm so very grateful to the universe, to the animal kingdom, who received me in such a way and gifted me with their love. And energy, and I hope that I was a gift to them as well. I don't think I could have ever given them as much as they gave to me. But anyway, oh shoot, didn't want to cry. So I hope you like that little story. That, my whole experience with animals, would not have been possible if I hadn't dedicated myself to spirit and a relationship to spirit to begin with. And that led into that. When I first decided to agree to work with DK and Pan and Jesus and Spirit and all that, in however way they told me, I thought, I guess I won't ever get to act or anything anymore. But you'd be surprised at how much I've used my drama degree in connection with my spiritual work. And at the zoo, I did animal shows, I did sea lion shows, I did elephant shows, I did a lot, I used all that there. And of course I always continued to do loads of theater. When I was doing all the other stuff, I always was doing a play at night for weekends in Los Angeles, something like that. So I did still do it all, but I thought I'll probably never use that anymore. And then I also used education. Basically the universe used all the things I knew, and they said they would, and they did. And even with the YouTube channel, I still get to get my little theater nerd stuff out. I like to dress up, I like to play and have fun, so they use all of it. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked that story. Let me know in the comments if you did, if you want to hear another one. I haven't told you guys my little tiger cub twin story yet. I have to tell you that. I haven't told you my chimpanzee triplet story, was that where I was surrogate daddy to 3 little baby chimps for several years, and that wonder story, and as well as loads of other stories. So if you like these, let me know, and I'll continue to make them. Thank you guys for watching. I love you so much. Love the animals. Be grateful that they're here. And love the earth because she loves you. Okay, guys, love you so much. Bye-bye.